Hey, it is Mrs. Hannon, and today we are going to be starting Unit 2, which is all about the New World. And so today we're going to be spending some time talking about the first English colonies in America. Spoiler alert, there's a lot of guys named John in this section. Talking about white guys from England, so that will happen. Another thing is that my computer's having some issues, and so you may hear the fan go on and off at various points. It sounds like it's going to blow up, but it hasn't yet. So these are what you're going to be learning today. We're going to talk about the lost colony of Roanoke, which is kind of the perfect time. We're getting close to October and spooky season, and so it's kind of a little bit of a creepier story. And then we're also going to be talking about colonies, that thrived, like Jamestown in Virginia. Just like last time, you need to pause this at certain points and complete the note sheets that's been attached to this video. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to pause and look at this image. So this is the baptism of Pocahontas. It is painted and located inside the U.S. Capitol building in the rotunda. If you've ever seen a picture of the Capitol, there's this massive dome, and that's known as the rotunda. It has different paintings of, parts of American history, and this is one that is there. One of the things I really want you to notice is the color white. White normally means like purity, and also notice where the light is focused in this picture. Who is in the light and who is in the dark? Take a second and pause this for yourself. I'm going to go ahead and assume that you have paused this and you've completed the whole first page of your notes, and I'm going to go ahead and move on. So the first colony we're going to be talking about is the colony of Roanoke. And Roanoke is often called the Lost Colony. And I'll get to that in a second. So 1587, almost 100 years since Columbus first came over to the Bahamas, first came over to the Americas, or the islands near the Americas. A man named Sir Walter Raleigh, he established this colony of Roanoke in North Carolina. Get it? Raleigh, North Carolina. You've probably heard of that city before. And he's really just caring about searching for gold, okay? He's not really concerned with, setting up serious establishments and settlements for the people. And so, people, their supplies are going to run low from time to time, but that doesn't really concern him very much. So when they get there, they arrive a little bit too late in the season, kind of like late summer, early fall. It's not planting season. So whatever they have, they just kind of need to make do, all right? And so John White needs to go back. One of the colonists, John White, needs to go back to Europe and try to get supplies. So he plans to just go to Roanoke, go for a few months, and come on back. Well, there's a 3 years war between Britain and Spain. This causes some unrest. He is unable to make that trip back for several years. 3, actually. So when he comes back, he finally makes it back. He's left these people, and his colony is just gone. He has no idea what's happened. If you see on the map, you can see where Roanoke Island is located. It's just off the coast of North Carolina. He gets there and he's like, "Here I am!" And there's no one there for him. And he looks around, and there's nothing. There's like remnants of the campsite, but there's not like a ton of unrest, like if natives came and had a big, battle there. There's no grave sites. There's no nothing. The only thing that he has is on one tree, the word, Croatoan is written. And so Croatoan is a group of natives that lived about 50 or so-ish miles further south on a different island. And so he thought, well, maybe they assimilated and went with those people, but he couldn't get to that island at that time. He couldn't see see if that was truly the case. He searched all over. There was, like I said, no graves. And it was just kind of left that these people were lost. He was the only person there, and everybody else seems to have literally up and vanished and disappeared. Kind of creepy. The next one that we're going to talk about is Jamestown. And Jamestown is in Jamestown, Virginia. This colony had some very hard moments and had some hardships for themselves as well. But they were still able to survive, even though many, many, many people died. So 1607, a little bit further in the clear, a little bit more current in history. King James I, he grants the London Company a charter to establish Jamestown in Virginia. So they get the money and the rights to create this little colony. And you can see kind of what it looks like there. It's kind of like a fortified triangle, and everybody lives within that triangle. So as soon as they land, they find themselves under attack from natives, okay? And the natives do not want them there. So they are going to lose some people from that. Another thing is that this area is very, very swampy. And so because it's swampy, disease and germs are just going to kind of fester in there. A lot of people are going to get sick and die. All right. The last point here, number 12, is very interesting here. A lot of people are craftsmen and gentlemen. Gentleman is just a fancy word for saying it's a rich guy that took that trip over from Europe to, hopefully find gold and maybe become more rich. Well, that person has no skill in farming, no skill in hunting, no skill in, any sort of craftsmanship, carpentry, blacksmithing, whatever. And so because of that, they're kind of useless, right? They're just another mouth to feed. So because of this is already going to set up hardships. They don't have any background in farming, and they don't have relationships with the natives to say, hey, can you help us learn to farm? No. The natives don't want them there. So they spend most of their time looking for gold. And under the leadership of John Smith, you may remember this name from Pocahontas if you have seen that movie. The Pocahontas and the John Smith story that you know from the movie is not factual. It is nothing like the true story. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today too. So John Smith is the captain, and he helps set up that fortified triangle, helps set up buildings that are going to be needed, helps set up protection. So one of the things that John Smith implemented was this law that said, he who shall not work shall not eat. So those, rich gentlemen who came and thought, oh, I'm just going to kind of get rich quick and lay low here, that he said, no, that's not going to work. You need to do your part. Remember, they came at a time when farming wasn't really something that they could do very easily. So everyone needed to work in order to make sure that they had enough food to survive. Oops, there we go. So their food supply starts dwindling. They did find some natives who were willing to help them, and one of them was Chief Powhatan, and he was willing to trade with them. John Smith, at this time in 1609, he has a major kind of freak accident. He says he's like taking a nap in his canoe, and he has a pouch full of gunpowder in his pocket, and somehow, one way or another, that gunpowder explodes, which causes a severe injury. He needs to go back to England to be treated, and obviously this sounds super painful. Well, the problem with this is that, without their leader, this time becomes known as what's starving time. It's exactly what it sounds like. People are literally starving. So much so that there are resources that say that the people in Jamestown did resort to cannibalism, to eating other humans who had died. So without help, they have to kind of rely on, they try to rely on John Smith. He's not really there to help. Powhatan's daughter, Pocahontas, she was helping as well. She goes to England with John Smith. She does not marry John Smith. She goes to England, though. And so the natives kind of refuse to trade with them because of this. There's this terrible winter. Many, many people die. And the winter kind of convinces a lot of people that they need to abandon and abandon this new life idea. So look at this first one here. Only 60 people out of 214 survived this terrible winter. That's about 28% of the population. So when these new ships come, they come with a man named John Rolfe. John Rolfe ends up marrying Pocahontas. He also introduces this cash crop of tobacco to the area as well. Jamestown did survive just barely, and it does still exist today. You can go visit it. The picture down below is from that. So this cash crop starts growing in not the United States at the time, but in the colony of Virginia. And so we have all sorts of people, English, trying to start farming tobacco in Virginia and other southern colonies as well. This need for new workers causes colonists to get the idea that to bring slaves over. So this is when enslaved Africans first start being shipped over to this New World area, mainly of Virginia, North Carolina, for the growth of tobacco. This is where we're going to stop today. You do have another question at the end of these notes that I need you to go ahead and answer.